All right, today to this webinar. Before we start the webinar, how to enhance reporting capabilities with custom CRM, a case study, just a few words about me and Changebility. My name is Maria Moradi. I'm the director of Changebility. We are a company dedicated to help non-for-profits and government agencies to enhance their digital solutions in order to increase their reporting capabilities and offer more support in the communities. A little bit, I have another one coming in. Hello, welcome, Craig.
Oh, good day.
Good day. A little bit about myself and how I'm so passionate about non-for-profits and helping them. My background is in software engineering. I have been working in more than 20 years as a digital transformation consultant in public and private sector, but have also worked on the ground in non-for-profits, Northern Territory in different capacities. Program manager, so I know a lot of pain points or challenges that non-for-profits or government agencies on the ground facing when it comes to digital transformation IT services. And in this webinar, I would like to share some of our experience in our recent projects that we run with partnership of the Northern Territory councils. Before we start getting into it, I just would like to get to know you, Craig. And Ashley, would you like to just give me a heads up from which areas you're coming from? Maybe your short introduction that would help me to maybe be more specific around your business case.
Yeah, so my name's Ashley. I'm a manager of operations for Child and Youth Services. So we have young people in our care who are under the guardianship of the Chief Executive and who are also living with disabilities.
Thank you, Ashley. Thanks for sharing. Craig, welcome to the round.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm in Bundaberg and we work with families, I suppose, involved with child safety and the kids in care or families in contact with them. We have a small youth contract as well, so trying to engage with young people disengaging from community, schooling and that sort of thing. And we work a lot of trying to do a fair bit of primary intervention, I suppose, if we can, from some funding from our farm, upskilling families before they become at the bottom end of the tree. So that's our little space, counselling and youth service.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for giving me a little bit more insight. First of all, thanks for your amazing work at the communities. Coming to experience, especially in the last few years, we know how important it is, the first responder, when it comes to climate change, flooding, youth challenges. So we are in a time where most of the community workers are quite busy with helping out, and more digital transformation and efficiency on reporting and gathering data becomes more and more a must and what a nice to have for the non-for-profits and governments agencies. So that's where we are. This is our background story when we are coming into talking to the clients. Let's have a look into some of the challenges before we're starting the webinar agenda. I just would like to going through. First, I want to talk about what we are when we are referring to person-centered design and digital transformation and how that can improve your stakeholder engagement. Then I want to walk you through this no-code solution. I know there are a lot of buzzwords out there, no-code, AI. Just let me talk about what that is actually and what that means for nowadays software development. Then I would like to introduce a real-world case with that we recently built for youth services in Northern Territory. And at the end, some tips for you out of our experience and strategy, how you can simplify digital transformation specific for non-for-profits and government agencies. Okay, so when we are talking about challenges, most non-for-profits in this facing in this digital transformation. So we have some usual, I call it usual suspects, and I'm really curious to hear if you find yourself in one of these categories or maybe all of them. So based off the experiences and questionnaires and talking to the clients in the last, let's say, 20, 15 years, there are some categories of challenges that we can be facing ongoing when it comes to digital transformation. So on one side, we have limited access to reporting data. So when it comes to service delivery, you might have service delivery data like program delivery data on several medias, maybe on several databases. Some are maybe still on paper-based, in Excel sheets. So it's really hard to gather on all of these different sources and consolidate data and in order to actually report. So it's very time-consuming mostly to gather data in order to report and satisfy the stakeholders and funding bodies on the other side. Then we have very often be facing, I would call it underutilized compliance and procedures. What I mean with that is they're very often manually. Like let's, for example, just take a compliance policy procedure around incident reporting or incident handling. So you might maybe experience, or I don't know if that's the case, but I have definitely experienced different organizations. And also, you might have not an automatic workflow around incident reporting. Documentation is sometimes in different folders. So when it comes to auditing and reviewing, even looking into certain certifications that might be due. So all these things that come in with compliance, on time reporting, that's might be still manual, or it's kind of spread on different databases and Excel sheets and media. Then we have scattered data and island solutions, my favorite, when you have for each different department and data type and different CRM or solution, that worst case scenario, they don't talk to each other. So you are jumping constantly from one database to the other and trying to gather your data that you need in order to provide the services. And last but not least, data literacy is definitely still a huge challenge. So it's around how we can engage all stakeholders, the users of the system, better in the whole rollout and digital transformation in order to help them to adopt to something new as soon as possible. So at the end, the handling of all these challenges are the recipe for success. Just a short question in the round. Ashley, Craig, Sam, do you see yourself, would you say this is like reflects some of your challenges as well, or do you have other challenges that I haven't mentioned here? Pretty sure there are some.
Yeah, well, we've got a couple of, like, we've got internet info exchange, and that's made our life a lot easier than using spreadsheets and information. So we can pull some things, but we don't have it all in one. So there is a lot of manual handling still. So to report, to try and prove stuff to government, to go for funding, it's a lot more work.
Yeah. So scattered data is definitely still a big theme here, or island solution, I might call it. So let's have a look how we can maybe, what are the new development maybe on the software area, and how we can maybe tackle these challenges along the way. Okay, so one thing that I would like to mention here is one way I would based off my experience of digital transformation, when I was talking about personal-centered digital transformation, what I'm referring to is like using person-centered design, using modern kind of principle of change management. And the goal is here, and the idea is, we have on one side technology, which is part of digital transformation. You want to either enroll a new technology or optimize what you already have in the organization in order to get more out of your system currently used. So in both cases, it's important at the end that the systems that are used getting adopted from your team and from your stakeholders. So all best solutions or technology in the world, I know they're working in that field since 20 years, won't help anybody if that's at the end, it's not getting used by the user. So this is something that is very important to think about when it comes to digital transformation. And looking in any kind of CRM or any kind of solution, having that in mind is very important. So with that in mind, I would like to introduce how we can actually tackle that we engaging the stakeholders, engaging the organizations, special matter expert more in this, in the rollout or digital transformation journey. So one way, very simple, but very transformative. The first thing is listening. So listening to your team and gathering the user stories, gathering in order to co-design together the solution and digital transformation strategy. And I will show you on examples how that can look like. The second thing is looking into agility. So delivering in a short amount of time, or delivering in short amount of time, prototyping things, gathering feedback and building it into the next iteration. And the third thing is, whatever we're doing, it needs to be customizable. So whatever solutions we're looking into, is it a CRM system, HR system, whatever, it's very important to look into the vendor's specification around customization. And customization is specifically for non-for-profit sector and government sector very, very important. And the reason why is they're usually following a very, very specific frameworks, very different than public sector. There are standard workflows, but each government sector, for example, youth services, family services, aged care services, have their own frameworks, have their very specific requirements from funding bodies. So therefore, whatever, it can be very costly when you're going out there and looking for out of the box solutions, CRMs out there. I don't know, big names, Dynamics, Salesforce. These are amazing, great CRM solutions. But when it comes to customization, it might be becoming very costly and it can take a long time to customize them. So this customization factor is very important when it comes to choosing the right CRM system. How do we do that? How we can integrate that into the overall development and implementation of a digital transformation process? So what we did was, in the first phase, we are co-designing with the team. And when in that case, it was the youth team. So we were able to bringing everybody together, collecting their user stories. And user stories is nothing, it's just a simple expression of the how you would like to use the system, or what are your requirements in your own language without any nerdish techie in between. So that is the first thing that helps also the stakeholder feeling heard and included into the overall rollout of a CRM system. So co-designing based on the user stories, and I give you some example how that might look like. Then the second phase is prototyping in a very short iteration, collecting the user stories, building out of it a prototype, starting with the prototype and go into then very short learning iterations where we gathering feedback from the stakeholders. In that case, it was youth workers, team leaders, coordinators, managers that would give us weekly feedback. And based on the feedback, we would build the changes in, configure the system, and go into the next iteration and co-design it again and learn and go into the next till we having that fine-tuned and reaching the optimum version of the feature. That's how it looks like. So just as an example, we have like program like requirement categories, different, let's say, features. In that case, it was a youth program. So we had a program activity was the heart of the system. So we needed to record when program activity is delivered. So they had these two councils that had, for example, delivering program activities over 20 remote regional communities. They have on the ground team, youth workers, and a head office in Alice Springs, where they're coordinating different programs that they're rolling out. I just giving you an example for a user story. It's very simple. Like let's grab one of them. Like as a manager, I want to see which activities has been running in facilities. So that makes it sounds very simple, but for me as a developer or an implementation team, out of this sentence, I can already decompose a lot of technical requirements. And so I don't have to go back and forth constantly with you and ask for, give me your technical requirements. What are the requirements? So you can actually very naturally collect your user stories in your team and use that as a ground for co-designing sessions. Other user stories from workers, so in that case, youth workers brought in, and they had really amazing ideas. I love that, and I will show you how that kind of dribbled down to the actual solution. Like one of the ideas that came in from the youth workers, like they want to collect stories during program delivery. So very often, for example, they're delivering a basketball tournament. They have amazing stories to tell: who, when, which community, what happened. So they call it good stories and bad stories. And for them, bad stories were, for example, things when incident happen, I don't know, kid falls down and injures, and they need to kind of follow up on that. So that was amazing ideas can come through these kind of user story sessions where we from our side were like, oh, this is a great feature. We would have never thought of that. So it's always amazing to having this user story sessions with the team. It could be also a team building kind of exercise for your internal teams to build these kind of user stories. Okay, what happens next? So in order to having this, coming back to this composability and customization aspect of the solution, the important whatever we are looking into, whatever we want to integrate, buy-in, customization is important. So nowadays you might probably heard some of these buzzwords: no code, low code solutions. Just to make sure that we are on the same page, allow me to take you in a little bit of an excursion of a software development history. So to explain what is no-code and composable platforms nowadays, and what is the state of the art of software solutions. So composable no-code architecture is actually nothing new. It exists since I think the 90s in certain industries for software developers since object-oriented development. So it's not a new idea. But just in the recent years, it has been accessible for actually in a broader spectrum. So it can be used and built into the cloud and software as a solution architecture. So when we are now, since 2020s, we see a lot of solutions, CRM solutions, who are building their software on no code and low code. And what it actually means is you are able, without any coding knowledge, configure a system in a very short amount of time. And that, what it does is it shortens the development period. That's one thing. But more importantly, it reduces the cost. Because software developer nowadays, it's really hard to get. Sometimes you might be in a remote area, like we are in Australia. We are not so fortunate having, I don't know, software developer specializes like in India, Europe. So it's not always accessible for non-for-profit specifically when you're in a remote area. So it's really hard to get specialized knowledge and software developer. That's why it takes, when you're looking into some of the solutions out there, low-code solutions, like, for example, bigger solutions like Salesforce, the development and customization is a huge thing, because everything what needs to be customized will be probably needed coding knowledge, and that can make the whole development cycle longer. So the newer of the new enterprise software is, and the development is definitely no code, and nowadays also with AI. So I think in almost probably in 6 months, soft predict in 6 months and a year, we will see probably the effect of generative AI even more. Today, we can already say almost more than 70% of the coding is already through AI, and it's getting generated. A lot of big solutions have incorporated AI capabilities, Copilot, you might have heard that, and that's a huge like a development leap. And our mission in Changebility is to ensure that this kind of state-of-the-art solutions and technology leap is not only accessible for public sector, for private sector, because they have more money and they have more access to, let's say, software developers. We would like to kind of offer and build this bridge between the non-for-profits, so they have the same capabilities that other companies might have in the private sector. So that's why we are here and trying to spread the news and give more information around the different solutions that are out there. With saying that, we have there are a lot of no-code and low-code systems out there. We choose to partner with Creatio, which is one of the no-code CRM providers nowadays. They are currently market leaders in that sector when it comes to no-code and citizen developers. And that's not something that saying it, they have been acknowledged by Gartner, Forrester, and more importantly, from since the last 3-4 years, has been having high ratings from users because of the usability and no-code capabilities that they have. So that's what we have built our no-code solution for the youth services. Creatio is our choice of a tool for this business case. Just a little definition around composability. What that means, it means you can scale up very quickly. You can plug and replace different components. When it comes to no code, we can, I like to kind of always to compare it with a Lego principle, where you can actually build different kind of business of modules. You can build your specific modules on that logic. So that's composability, that's no code. That's all I want to say on that level when it comes to what is the difference of the state-of-the-art CRMs and other CRMs that are out there. So combined, these two things. One is thinking about, in the beginning, to incorporating stakeholders through change management principles, through co-designing, but choosing also the right tool that allows you to do that, allows you to co-design allows you to customize, allows you to, in a short amount of time, to configure the solution and fine-tune the best fit solution for your team. All right, let me now show you, coming back to the user stories, because I just want to show you how we trickle down from the user story to the feature, to the solution. So as an example, program activity. So what is one of the requirements in that sense? Program activities are like basketball tournaments or tennis or all the different amazing activities that the youth program offers. So in that case, we have collected from the youth workers some of their program activities. That's just an example. Like as a youth worker, I want to be able to create incidents based on negative stories, coming back to the good and bad stories. I want to upload pictures. As a youth worker, I want to be able to record good stories and photos and be able to write memorable notes. So these are the user stories that we collected from program activity. And we kind of then triggered all these user stories, each by them build non-use cases. And based on that, we could then build a fine-tuned solution.
Hello, today I'm gonna show you how to add program activities in the system. So first of all, we go into your support place, opening program activities section. Here we can see already existing program activities, and we want to create new one. To create a new program activity, we click New button. Then it's obviously it's necessary to fill these 4 fields. So activity category, let it be skating, start and end date. It's important to fill these fields to have correct activity duration, and community. And then we can also add some description. We can choose facility, target group, location. We can even add some additional communities into the detail. And then stories. So how can we add stories? We click this green button, add story. And now we can select, is it good story, thumbs up, bad story, thumbs down. And when we click in bad story, we also have appearing checkbox urgent story. So story can be bad and urgent at the same time. Of course, when we click in back to good, we have only good. So bad or back and urgent. Keep in mind that when you click creating urgent story, notification about the story will appear in managers and coordinators CTI panel. So they would be aware. Title, story content, it's actually the body of the story. Story content. And also we can upload some pictures here and save. All our stories will be here in this component. To open this story and to foresee all image, we should click on the title of the story this way, and story is opened, you see. And also about attendance. Of course, for program activities, we can add attendees. It can be participants, staff, and stakeholders. For example, let's add some participants. It's dev environment, so we not have a lot. And let's add some staff either. And stakeholders. As you see, we have count of them here. We have their names. Also, we can copy participants from another activity in case we have, let's say, many activities, let's say 50 participants in another activity, and we want to copy all 50 of them here. We click in this button, and then we choose activity where we want to grab our participants, and they will be copied here. And what else we can do with activity? We can build a report with all program activity stories and their image. And yeah, it's very useful because you can see on one list, like on one Word document, all stories with their attachments. And these attachments would be added to program activity stories as well. That's it. Thank you for your attention.
All right, just the example for one feature. So going back to our oh, sorry. Yeah. So when we are looking out of this kind of simple for user story, we could also grab so many technical requirements. So I can't stop emphasize on user stories. That's my favorite way to collect requirements, to actually speed out this whole process immensely. Okay. Next thing that I would like to show you, that's another, let's jump into actually the live system. I just want to give you a little bit of an overview how that looks like. So this is the look and feel of the whole system. We have different sections. What we saw right now was the program activity, which is the heart of the youth reporting system, where youth workers can record based on the mobile app when they're on the ground, when they're doing activities, who is attending in the activity, can record the good and bad stories. Upon the for managers and coordinators, they would see the desktop version, which is this, what you're seeing. We have very important for coordinators and managers, of course, is the reporting features and reporting functionalities. So let me have a jump into that. So for in this example, we have two dashboard systems because they wanted a really extensive internal KPIs. And that's live data. So it's like you would see your KPI and reporting of program activities, stakeholders on a daily basis. What is interesting here to show based on the user story, again, going back, I think the user story was, I want to see the good stories and bad stories. So we have some KPIs around that. We are in a test environment. I don't have so much test data. So just let me jump into maybe program activity dashboard. Okay, so right. Employment. Like for example, here, employment dashboard in this solution, that what I like in Creatio's dashboard is that you can actually jump into the actual data and see, okay, who is now in this, and you can furthermore, you can export right away everything from that. You can change the visibility of how you want to show your data. Most of the CRMs out there don't have this visualization component. You need to either buy in another visualization like Tableau or I think Power BI from Microsoft. These are like other data visualization components that you would usually use to visualize your data. So that's very comfortable that you have it all in one. And you can export, you can change, you can jump into the data sets. And current statistic, you can kind of change different statistics. So principle, everything what you're recording and your data sets, starting from contact, employees, accounts, all that can be accessed and all can be visualized somehow in your dashboard. That's a principle that we are using here when it comes to bringing scatter data into one bucket. And that's the power that you have when you bringing different data types into one bucket in order to kind of really connect data, show more enhanced reporting. I just want to stop at this place. Is there any questions in the round we might? Any areas that would you like to showcase more? Okay. Let me have a showcase you some when it comes coming back to scattered data and one bucket solution. Important is here kind of when it comes to scattered data that we're looking into, okay, what are the important data types that we need to collect in our solution in order to be able to report in one click everything. So we have contacts, contact database like participant contacts. You might have contacts around your stakeholders. You might have contacts, supplier contacts. You might have partners with other non-for-profits. So these are different contact types that you would usually maybe some would probably store it in an Excel database, maybe in Outlook, maybe in your email. So having a one consolidated contact database helps you first to streamline your connections. So in that case, we built a contact database for them where they can see in one participants list, you can see a stakeholder list, but more importantly, I can also filter their different contact types and look into the case stories and contacts. Employment data can be stored here. They're like John Best, our favorite employer, and test employer. So you can store data. So you can even when it comes going back to compliance, for example, we spoke about challenges around how we can make sure that we are compliant with certain policies and procedures. You know, for youth workers, it's definitely required that have every 2 years or a yearly almost children's check. There are other certifications like first aid, WHS. These are things that are necessary to do ongoing. We can collect them and build workarounds and automations. We built, for example, I think the children's check. The system knows when the children's check is due and would then send a notification to the supervisor telling, okay, you have to maybe follow up on new certificates X, Y, Z. That helps immensely with the compliance and following up compliance procedures, one bucket. So that's why it's important to having different, like important data types, like contact, accounts, and service delivery data into one bucket. That helps you to actually access and report, automate, notify, build logic around it. Another area that I would like to maybe have a quick peek at is approval processes. That's another favorite thing. So we have, based on their user stories, we identified, and talking to the youth team, we identified, oh, okay, they have different approval processes necessary. For example, they traveling often to other communities. Youth worker, youth coordinator might take children's with them in the car. So for that, they need some security checks. They need to get the car check, inspection checklist, travel checklist. So that needs to be approved, documented for later compliance reasons. So we built for them the 3 approval processes. One is for travel request, one is for workplace inspection checklist, and one is for purchase order. Then we build the knowledge base where they can see all the different kind of videos, how to use things, or they can collect their own knowledge base for them. Contract management is another thing where we, you can actually store all your different contracts, make it only visible for managers, for example, or for youth managers and departments. Right? They have an overview on their communities, which communities have where they are, and more importantly, each community might have different facilities. Some have baseball or a basketball place, some don't. So it's also looking into, okay, what are the resources that are there in order to be able to deliver the program in the community. Okay, coming back to the presentation. Let's talk about the user stories. So these were the user stories for the managers around dashboard and reporting. For example, here, that's my favorite. I want to see a number of like a gender filtered after gender in certain period. So all this kind of very fine filtration of data is only possible when you have your data accessible into a bucket where you can then leverage your data and ask in a split seconds the data that you need. Okay. The next one was overall with the improvements that we made with this we started, I think, the development process last like around November. So we were able in a very short amount of time to configure that solution for the youth services and then roll it out in December as a desktop version. And then I think in January or February, we rolled out the mobile. So the mobile version is right now in testing phase and a prototype phase. So already in the rollout of the desktop version, we could see an increase of their capabilities of 300%. And the change here is what they needed prior to that to gather data in order to report their monthly reporting for internal reportings. They needed almost in a week, more than a week, with 2 FTEs working and gathering data. Youth were the coordinator, had to gather data in order to just do the operational report. Now they can do it with 1 click, and the data getting exported into a Word document and can be then sent to the stakeholders or funding bodies for their reporting purpose. They could save up to 10 hours per week through this, only through the reporting functions. We haven't looked into all the other features that are built in. It's just as we're going along. So that shows you actually the scale of efficiencies if you're kind of leveraging the no-code and custom CRMs. Increased stakeholder engagement through co-design. It was actually amazingly fun for me as a developer and solution architect, talking to the youth workers and coordinators and developing and co-designing the solution together. Long gone the times where software developer are collecting somewhere the technical requirements and then disappearing in some dark corners for months and then coming with some solution and hope for the best. So this is for my side also very good to work together with the team on the ground and actually listening to their user stories and try to have a very quick turnover. So that increased definitely the stakeholder engagement, but also when it comes, when we are looking from the change management perspective, it will immensely help you later on when it comes to rolling out the solution. You have done a team that was involved in the project development, and they can be your trainer principal, they can be your change promoters later on to help other team members to adopt to the system. So co-designing and stakeholder engagement, very important. Then we had a customizable and scalable custom solution. That is the best fit for them. So it is scalable in the sense of not only for youth services, they can scale it to other service delivery areas like child and family services, for example, or aged care or other services that councils might have, because the logic and the data model is built already, and I can scale it to other services that working similarly. They might have different funding bodies, they might have different activity types, but the overall structure of the house, of the system house, is there to be scaled up. And last but not least, of course, through this data capability and to this reporting capability, you have a data-driven decision making, and help you to actually predict and help you to make better decisions in the community for your program delivery. What are the learnings that we had in this program? So what we learned first in the rollout phase, testing is very, very important. So as an organization, I know you probably lack of time, lack of resource. It's a chronicle thing for non-for-profits. The thing is, what you're saving up, you might think you're saving up here, you would have done bigger troubles later on if you don't test early enough. So it's always good to think by whatever you're starting with the digital transformation project, be realistic. What are the internal resources needed to do testing in order to have less headache later on when the system is rolled out? Ensuring a long-term success of organizational adoption is change management principles. So again, looking into what are the change management principles, how we can engage the stakeholder, how we can engage users. So at the end, I know managers want to see reporting. Yes, it is very important, but reporting means the data has to come from somewhere. It does not appear magically into the system. So the system must be usable enough or intuitive enough that it makes data recording simple as possible in order to help gather data through mobile app and into the system. Then you can leverage reporting. So concentrating too much at the end of the system, which is reporting. It has to be fancy, you need generating reports, export and stuff, but sometimes you might forget where is the data coming from, which is recording, who's going to record the data, what's the data literacy level, and how we can build a system that makes it easiest enough to record the important data that I need at the end, to build my report. So another learning that we had was like legacy systems coming with their own data and integration of legacy data of different databases, Excel sheets. So reserving enough time to map data. Data hygiene is a big thing. So at the end, to actually leverage your systems. Data hygiene is a huge theme, and it's important to keep your data clean, which means out of double entries every few months, making sure that you have policies around data hygiene. And last but not least, thinking about mobile app. Ever you're using mobile app for data recording in this scenario, we learned, mobile app has their limitation. Along through the display size, with the desktop, you have more space to show more features. A dashboard function can be shown more in a more holistic way as a smaller display, of course. So it has its limitations. So it's important to think about what are the really necessary features for the mobile app and what are the things that we probably best use when we're using the desktop version. Okay. Through this learning and more strategies around overall simplifying digital transformation in non-for-profit and government organizations. So we have learned adopting a no-code and low-code approach. So use no-code, low-code platform like Cratio, but there are other no-code platforms out there. It's really empowering your non-technical or special matter expert and helps to engage them into the overall development process. Focus on configurability, adaptability, so your systems evolves with the organization. It doesn't stop somewhere, so you can kind of build that with the growing requirements. And as we know, all change is coming fast, climate change, I don't know, emergencies, things. So you might, COVID, you might have to adjust and scale up to certain circumstances in a very quick, in a short time frames. More important is code here. So start with a small pilot project to see the features and functionalities. And important is here looking into the usability of the system. So usability, there are several ways where you can see how the usability of a system works. My favorite way when I'm talking to is to the ground is like looking, one principle is to looking how many clicks you need to do certain things. Like, if I have 10 clicks, for example, that takes too much time. So usability, that could be one effect. Focus on change management from day one. Rolling on digital transformation, it's very important. Key stakeholders engagement, using change frameworks and continuous improvement to incorporating necessary changes. Integrating, so not inventing the wheel every time, integration instead replacement. Before we're starting purchasing the new software out there, we should first look into the existing system architecture and what you're using currently in your organization. Have an IT system review is can save you a lot of time and money at the end. High-rising data-driven decision-making means implementing data governance best practices, providing real-time dashboard will help with program effectiveness and service delivery, and automated report processing. That's going to leverage your reporting capabilities as you could hopefully demonstrate. Ensuring scalability and sustainability means also looking, nowadays everything is in the cloud and has the more reduced infrastructural costs. Plan for long-term, so digital transformation or buying CRM softwares is nothing that you think is done in a year. It's a continuous, it's an investment best thought in minimum 3, if not 5 years. So thinking in long-term strategies when it comes to digital transformation is important, and creating a digital roadmap that aligns with your overall strategic goals in the organization. And last but not least, bridging the digital divide with adaptable technologies, I would say, is the most important part for non-for-profits that need more than just access the technology. They need customizable, adaptable solutions that evolve with their needs as they go along. So at Changebility, that's our mission. Our proven change frameworks that we're using since more than 20 years ensures this seamless digital transformation by focusing on no-code, composable architecture, role-based development and timing, peer-to-peer learning, co-designing, ongoing support and iterative approach, and learning in everyday learning. So with our holistic approach, we hope we can build a bridge, this digital divide, and help non-for-profits to leverage the data. With that, I would like to say thank you for your time. I hope this was valuable for you, and I'm open for any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. No questions. I'm happy to send the presentation afterwards to you guys. Wish you all a good day.
Yeah, thank you, Miriam. So is that like that could replace a few platforms like we use, as I said, the Info Exchange, and we use Employment Hero and that. So that sort of replaces that, because you had a lot of things that are on two different platforms we've got to look at and bring it into one. It doesn't build bridges between those platforms or anything like that, does it?
Well, I would say both.
Okay.
Yes, it can. It can replace, actually, as you could see, you can store employment data there.
Yeah.
And you can store service delivery data. So it can actually incorporate both worlds into one bucket. It allows you to do that. That makes it a very, very like powerful tool, because it can actually bring all the different data types like employment, contracts and stuff into one bucket.
Yep.
If that answers your question. But when it comes, it's always very situative, depends on your legacy system. I always say, as a change manager, if you're happy with the system that you have, and you need to leverage a certain part of it, and think about first, can I integrate it? Is it necessary to replace it all? So that's why it's really important to look into what you have and not invent the wheel new. I mean, we have, I always would say to non-for-profits, have a look, let's review first what you have now, can be leverages in order to save time and money. And then looking into, okay, what can't you do with your current system? And based on that, then making the decision, okay, I really need a new system, yes or no.
Yep. Okay, that'd be great. Thank you for your help today. It was very informative.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, bye now.
Cheers.